So, I spend a lot of time in a vehicle. I drive to work. I drive all day at work, and I drive home. And I listen to a lot of music, but at some point, there's just a lot of noise. And I think, and I come up with some interesting things, to say the least. But there's something that I've come up with that I think it's got some value. And so I would equate being in love to drinking whiskey. And it's funny I should pick whiskey, right? Like I've been a big whiskey fiend for a long time, still am. And but here's the thing. No, here's what I come up with. So we start your evening, and you're having that first couple sips of whiskey, and it's your kind of whiskey, which is a bonus. They put the right amount of ice in it. I mean, this is if you're out, and they're using a fountain pop, and the fountain pop is just got the right mix and carbonation, and everything is sweet. So it's just gelling, and you have a couple sips, and it's kind of like when you first start dating, right? You get those first little encounters, and it's like everything just ooh, damn, that just lines up, and then something happens, that's funny. Maybe she pronounces somebody's name wrong, or an event comes that can reoccur throughout this whole courting process, which you can laugh about. So and that's a charm thing. When you if you're a charming guy, you never miss an opportunity to spot something like that you can revisit that'll make them laugh. It's perfect. So anyway, uh, you know, and so the night of drinking is equivalent to the courtship of and the good duration of the relationship, which could be months or years, whatever. So anyway, you keep drinking, and oh man, you're telling stories, and you're gelling with your friends, and everything's great, and it's just like when you're dating, and you start hanging out more, and you're doing stuff together, you're meeting each other's friends and the family, and you're really getting cemented in, everything's getting comfortable, and you're really getting a gel going, and possibly, I don't like the word routine, but possibly a routine. So then it comes to that point where you've indulged whiskey for a long time. You're feeling pretty dopey, and you might make some silly mistakes, like say smack the waitress's ass or something, get punched in the face, or stuff like that. It's the same kind of thing in a relationship when you get a little bit you know love dumbfounded, and you say stuff, you write checks that maybe you can't cash, or you want to move in together, and there's that mesh, just boom, fits so nice. Okay, so when you're boozing, when you're on the whiskey, and you've overindulged, and you get that feeling, where you just like, something ain't sitting just so. You kind of look around, and you try to get a beat on it, what exactly happened. And if you're smart, you get off the whiskey, and you get yourself on water. Actually, here's a tip. Every drink you take in an evening, have a glass of water. You will thank me the next day. Anyway, so it's the same kind of thing when you're in love, and in a relationship, and you spot something, right? Something doesn't feel right. If every morning started with hello, sexy, good morning, and then all of a sudden you're down to morning, yeah, that's a flag. Or you can tell you've been watching this person like a hawk, because you're so wrapped up in them, and you spot it, and so it leaves you that same uneasy feeling as when you realize you drank too much whiskey. And so when you drink too much whiskey, and you realize you're in trouble, you start looking for the bathroom if you're lucky, or the outside of the house, or the bar, or you get the hell away from people. When a relationship starts to tank, it's relatively the same thing. You do kind of want to be off by your own. You want to try and wrap your head around this, and see what the hell, and really there isn't any repair at this point, but you try and get on the water, and turn it around. Maybe you're lucky, maybe not. But let's say in this case you're not. So when you get to your safe spot, when you're trunk and you're looking for a place to throw up. You know, you get down on your knees and you're begging God. You know, you're saying stuff like, "Oh God, please don't let this happen to me." Same thing in a relationship. You know, that's who you look to when you realize it's toast, and you make that same. You're begging that same way, and you really fight it. You're really, you know, I don't want this to happen to me. I don't want to be that guy, and you push back, and it's the same thing when you're going to throw. Well, you know, at 42, here's the tip: let it happen. You know, when I just recently watched my daughter get sick in the middle of the night, and she's crying and she's really holding it. And this is where this came from, right? So she's really fighting it, and all of a sudden she's sick, and then she's fine. You know, and that's kind of what it is. You throw up, and right when you're done, and that whole disgusting ugliness is over. I mean, that's why you fight it, right? It's the same thing when you're fighting a breakup and a heartbreak. It's friggin' ugly. It hurts like hell, and going through it is excruciating, and you just want to avoid that as much as you can. But in actual fact, just let it happen. And you know, when that's done, there's a euphoric, you know, little state you get it. Maybe, you know, when you throw up, it doesn't last long. It's a little while. You know, it's the same in a relationship, and it's a it's longer, obviously, that you're going to be in pain, but you do get to the calmness, and once you let go, once you let everything go, you relax, and you just let it happen. And so, what do you do when you're drunk and you've thrown up and you know, you're no longer flush, you're cool, you're laying down? You try a glass of water, right? And then you see how long you're going to keep that water down, if the water stays down. And if it doesn't, then you try again, and so on, until you work yourself up to having a meal. And it's usually comfort food, some greasy McDonald's or something that you like, to your soup, you know, like a hangover food. Dating, same thing, right? You know, you have a few dates. It's like your first glasses of water. Maybe they don't take right away, you know, and you just keep trying that until you're ready to sit down and eat a meal, and, you know, which is basically, you know, you reoccur a date with someone, and you know, pretty soon, before you know it, you're back drinking whiskey. Both cases. So really, being in love is just like drinking whiskey.